Hi everyone, it's Leanne with Crafty Kitty Vintage. Thank you for joining me today. I have a quick little video about coffee and avocado dyeing paper and doilies. I love to junk journal and I love to recycle or upcycle vintage materials that I find mostly at the Goodwill bins for pennies and keep them out of the landfill. So come with me in my kitchen and you get to see what I'm up to today. So here you'll see a little bit of coffee that I had left over sitting in the refrigerator for I don't know how long. It was past time to use it. So I decided I was gonna coffee dye some things today. I have the house to myself. Many of you know, I was going to go on a little trip to Idaho with my partner John to see his family. But I ended up having to stay behind because we realized that our cat Joey is still on antibiotics. He's very shy around strangers and I needed to stay home to take care of him as opposed to getting a sitter to watch him and give him medication because he would just hide. So anyway, John's having fun in Idaho. I'm hanging out here and gonna do some coffee dyeing. I've already started. So like I said, here's some old coffee that I've had in the fridge. You can use freshly brewed coffee. And in fact, I think when I did it last time, the warm coffee or hot coffee penetrates even better, but you really get the color after it sits for a while. So this isn't really dark, you'll see. Let me show you in contrast to one that has not been dyed. So pretty white. Right? So there is some color there. Me going for like an aging effect. There's Macy. She's joining me on the counter. Macy. Hi, baby. So on the stove right now, and you see here I have a lot of doilies that I've collected. You even can pick them up if you're lucky enough to have room service at a hotel. Oftentimes they'll have these on the trays. Snatch them up, put them in your suitcase, bring them home, craft with them. They're really handy because they're just going to get thrown away anyway. So I have some cardstock here. I have some grid paper. Now the grid paper is really thin. I don't love it, but it does have some use in junk journaling, which is nice. Some cardstock, some regular copy paper that you'd use in your inkjet printer. And I have this big grid paper here that was slightly discolored already when I got it at the bin. So I kind of like that when it's already discolored. So over here I have a strainer set up because when I'm done with the avocado boiling, now these are skins and pits that I've saved from when we have avocados with our dinners. So you see how they will get really soft in the water. They start off very hard after being dried. Now you want to be sure if you're going to do this, if you're going to save your pits and your skins, you clean them really well. Get all of that fat off as much as you can. There's going to be a little left over, but that good fat from the avocado needs to be gone so that when you store them until you're ready to do this, they don't get moldy. So I have some cheesecloth in a little strainer over a bowl, or in this case a large Pyrex measuring cup. And so I've already started with some of these. So I wanted to use up that coffee again before I do the avocado dyeing. And with avocado dyeing, you'll see that they come out sort of pink as opposed to kind of brown. So I have here some index cards. These are also some bags that I got at the bins. And I have a lot of them sitting on plastic placemats or doilies. Now before I found a few of these at the bins, I did purchase a couple online. I looked and looked and I got impatient, so I did purchase these online. If you can find them in your thrift stores, all the better. And so I left some room here. I do like to overlap some things because that'll help to add interest. Now you don't see it much here, but after this sits and dries on here, it will pick up some texture. So that's nice. Here's our cat food and water station. Here's Dottie. Dottie, hi. Hi, baby kitty. She looks like she's in a mood, right? All right, so here on our new / old dining room table that I just picked up on OfferUp, used, mostly for crafting, also for a little holiday get-together that is coming up for Thanksgiving. This I picked up at the bins, this little plastic kind of garish, but very useful little thing. So I'm gonna see if I can get more contact with it. I might even layer some papers on top of it, kind of weigh it down so that it will pick up some more of that. Now you can see a little bit of the variation. What happens is the liquid pools in the plastic places and then it doesn't pool in the other places, and so that makes it have a little more shading effect. I'm really excited about these doilies, see how they'll turn out. And I thought of this, and I'm glad I did, because I think this will leave a texture on the paper underneath, so that's fun. So yeah, even if you find them and they're torn, that's okay, because a lot of us like the distressed look in our junk journals. So I will come back when I'm doing some avocado dyeing, and you can see, uh-oh, there's an altercation here. Macy jumped up on the cat tree, not knowing that Dot was already up there. Oh, kitties, territorial. So I'll come back after my coffee, or my, avocado dyeing is begun, and then I'll come back and show you when they're dried and beautiful. Okay. Hi, I've switched to the horizontal position from the vertical. I always forget when I start these YouTube videos to hold my phone horizontally. So hope you're still with me. Popping in real quick in the process, I did add some water and turn down the heat. I want a good amount of liquid, but I also want it to be really concentrated. So I did add some water, and let me show you real quick what progress of what these look like. The avocado skins and pits. Looking really good. I do want that intense color, so I'm going to keep letting it simmer on a low heat. And then, like I said, I did add some water. Oh, and I also wanted to say real quick, I did not invent this process, of course. Many others have done it before me and made videos about it. So I watched probably at least 10 different videos on how to do this. And I want to thank all of the people that have come before me to perfect this process. Well, I shouldn't say perfect. There's no perfectness about it. It turns out different every time. So just wanted to mention that. I appreciate everybody's videos, and do understand that, you know, this is my process and there's many other ways to go about it. Here's my baby Joey. Say hi, Jojo. He's been doing nothing but sleep. He's the one on antibiotics, second round. There's his shaved belly from his ultrasound. His kidney is recovering, at least for now. He's a sweet boy. Totally worth the thousands of dollars, now over 10. Poor baby boy. Yeah, he's a big talker, my ginger boy. Yeah, Jojo. Okay, welcome back. Here we are with the avocado pits and skins. They've been boiling, I don't know, at least an hour, maybe 2 at this point, and I've added water as we go because, you know, a lot of it evaporates, but and I want to continue boiling it to get that concentrated color, but I don't want to lose, or I want to keep moisture in there so it continues to boil. I am going to add a little baking soda. This is something that, something that was recommended on some other videos that I had watched prior to doing this the first time. And I'm going to say this is probably like the 3rd time that I've done this process. So I am going to add, for this pot, I think I'm just going to add a half a tablespoon. And what this does, so they say, I want it to boil over, it helps to bring out the color, makes a richer, redder color. So hopefully that is the case here, and I'll give it a minute for the action to happen. And as you can see, I have my strainer ready. I've seen people use coffee filters, and that works really well too. The problem is for me, the coffee filter gets really clogged really fast. So I'm going to go with this first, and then I might do a second round with the coffee filter and see how that goes. I'm going to turn down my heat here. And you can see that some of the skins have come off the pits. And the pits are still in there. You'll see them when I do the straining. But the skins there, they're nice and soft. If you saw the earlier part of this video, you saw that they, well, you didn't see that they were dried. I had already put them in there. But they get dry and kind of crunchy after you dry them before you use them in this process. So, okay, I'm going to let this cool and I'll come right back. Okay, I'm impatient. It's still steaming, but I'm going to attempt to strain it. So I've already added the baking soda. I'm going to remove the solids, the skins, the pits. Sorry, I wish I had a GoPro. It would be so much easier to have my two hands free as it is, you know, just one-handed here. But that's okay. I just want to give you the idea of what the process is, my process. Again, there are many videos out there that show, you know what, I'm putting it in the strainer, but I didn't mean to. I meant to put it in this, into the bowl. I'm going to strain the liquid into the strainer. I don't do a lot of editing, so what you see is what you get with me. All right. I did moisten the cloth and it was staying nice, but now I'm gonna have to adjust it before I pour. So I'm gonna turn off the video, be right back. Okay, so I got the majority of the pits and skins out of my water. At least I think so. I knew I was gonna find something. There's a few more. It's so colorful, the water, that you can't see underneath it. So you can see I have my cheesecloth in my strainer here. I'm gonna carefully pour. So far so good. You see I have an old towel underneath because whatever this comes into contact with, it's gonna dye it. Luckily with my countertops, I've not had an issue with staining, but some countertops might be more porous. So, okay, there you go. Oh, we're all the way to the top, my goodness. Okay, be right back. All right, you can see here I've switched to a coffee filter, slowly pouring the liquid. You can see I had about 6 cups of liquid. In fact, this 4-cup, yeah, 4-cup with room was overflowing, so I estimate I had about 6 cups in there. So give that a minute to go through. Actually, we might be to the top of the pan. Yep. Oh, no. You can see it goes a lot slower with the coffee filter. So we're gonna let that go through and I'll be back when I'm done with this process. Okay, I ditched the coffee filter. It was just not working. The liquid was going through so slow. I did not have the patience for it. Now I can save this to use in a craft project if I want. But you can see here, I did go through the cheesecloth the second time, and there is some goo in there, leftover avocado from, and other impurities from the avocado. So you don't want that in your coffee dyeing or your avocado dyeing. And next I'm going to go to my tub, and I'm going to layer in the papers and let you see that process. Okay, here we are. I have my tub ready. I have just strained my avocado dye, and I have some sheets ready because this time, unlike with the coffee dyeing, I am going to put it in the oven. So let's see. I'm going to bake, and I'm going to do, I've seen people do 290 degrees. I think I'm going to do, let's do 295. Okay. So we're going to preheat the oven. There it is. I have my sheets here. And here's my paper. So I'm going to bring it over to the counter that I'm working on. Lots of doilies. I have more than I can use. What I'm planning to do with a lot of these materials is, and let me know in the comments if you'd be interested, make kits for folks to use in their own craft projects. Junk journals, things like that. Alright, so here I have already done some coffee dyeing. I had a little coffee left over in my refrigerator, so I did some of that. This I'm just letting air dry. For the avocado dyeing, I'm going to do otherwise. Now, what I saw other people do, which I think is a really smart idea, is put your thicker papers towards the bottom. I am going to let these sit for about 15 minutes, but what happens with the thicker or the thinner materials like the doilies, things like that, they're so thin that they can disintegrate after not very long soaking. So thicker ones in the bottom because you're going to get to take those out last. So, sorry about that. I'm going to just start pouring in some of the avocado dye. Now this is still a little steamy. If I lived in a warmer climate outside, I would do this outside. A lot of folks who I've seen do videos do that. I live in Western Washington near Seattle, and it's October 22nd, and it's cold for me to be outside doing it. Plus it would take just as long, well, a long time for it to dry outside. So I'm doing the oven method. And you can see my tub's a little warped at the bottom. It's one of those plastic tubs that's been used many times. I don't really care. I'm working with it. But you can use a deeper sheet pan or roasting pan. And you can use just different things. It doesn't really matter what you use. So I'm going to move it around. Some people use like this. They press it down with a spoon and have a lot more material or liquid in there. And again, I'm holding the phone with one hand and doing this with the other. So I think I'll go ahead and finish soaking some of these and start putting them on the sheet pans and show you what that looks like in a minute. Okay, I wanted to show you the process as it's happening in the oven. So these two large sheet pans I put in about 5-10 minutes ago. This one I just put in. You can see that they're already drying. Here I put the cheesecloth underneath. I decided I wanted to see what kind of texture that would come up with. So looking really good. I'll check back in a few minutes. All right, so here you see I took one out of the oven. It's been about 15 minutes that it was in the oven, and it's pretty dry. Now I did have some overlap, and even that part is dry too, which is great. You can see it has a really neat texture, beautiful color, and of course you can do all the varying that you want to do, but it's going to come up with some natural spots like that too. So, and here I did a little doily over that, so that's an idea of what kind of pattern you can expect. Here I'm doing, this one hasn't been in the oven yet, but I'm doing some different pattern doilies on grid paper, plain paper. Here I have some doilies soaking, gonna get them a little bit darker than the ones I did previously. It is a fine line because you do, paper gets more easily torn as it soaks. So, but it's part of the experiment. Large grid paper in here, which is why I chose the large tub. I would try to stick with a small container as you can. That way you get a deeper amount of liquid. But if you have larger pieces, you're going to need a larger container. All right, so I have more in the oven. I'm going to rotate them until they're dry. And I'll do that. Real quick, here's the one that I had on top of the cheesecloth. So this is the pattern I got from that. And what I like to do is I stack them all up. The weight kind of flattens them down a little bit and takes up less space, of course. So that's that. And I'll keep rotating. I'll be back. Okay, so I was curious to see how many pits and skins that I had because I didn't count them before I started. So I did count these. There are about 10 and about 5 avocado skins, 10 halves, if that makes sense. So I am still baking in the oven. You see there, getting all crispy. And I have a few waiting to go in, a few still soaking. I'm pretty pleased with how they're turning out. I especially love layering those doilies to give it an interesting pattern. Variety of papers. I don't love using regular copy paper because it is so thin. That's what this is here. But it does work. It does work. This is cardstock. Most of this is cardstock. But I really like, look, it's kind of like a tie-dye effect. So I really like the color that I achieved with this batch over the last batch of avocado that I did. And I think that has to do with the amount of avocados that I use. The pits, I'm told, have the most amount of dyeing potential in them, so that's why, you know, I saved the pits over the skins, plus they're a little easier to clean, honestly. And I did use a half a tablespoon of baking soda after, well, I almost didn't remember to turn off the heat, but turn off your heat first, then add your baking soda, then let it cool a little bit before you do your soaking. So I'm still soaking. This can pretty much take all day, you know, depending on how quick you are. And of course, if you're drying things outside in the warm temperature, like if you live in Arizona, like my friend Kathy, that you could just leave it and then come back the next day, pretty much. Don't have to rotate it through the oven. That's what takes the most time. So I think that's it for now. Thank you for coming along with me in this process, and I hope you picked up a few helpful tips. I am by no means the expert on this, but I have appreciated watching a lot of other videos on YouTube about how to do this, gotten a lot of great tips that have helped me improve my method, and I hope this helps you, and happy crafting, and take good care. Bye-bye.